Good evening and welcome to Hot Topics from the Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Valerie Parker Hagan.
And good evening and happy new year. This is your co-host, Dr. J.R. Thicklin.
This is a new year, new beginning is 2023. We got to forget the baggage of the past and leap forward to what's before us, Dr. J.
Absolutely. This is not only a new year, it's a new week. Everything is aligning itself, and therefore we have to align our mind, our mindset coming into this new year. You don't have to be necessarily certain about what's going to happen, meaning the path. You just have to be certain that you're going to be a part of it, that you're going to participate, that you're going to give it your full effort to manifest those things that are really in your heart and in your spirit. So I'm excited about 2023.
I know, Dr. J. So many people are looking at what happened yesterday, the day before that. And, it was a rough ending for me and my family during December, but God is so faithful and so great and so grand and so magnificent. And I'm so happy that I'm a child of the Most High God. And I know that what God has for me is for me and my family.
Exactly right. And it's interesting because when we look at life, life was never meant to be this straight line. Life was never designed to be, well, this one perfect scene after another. Life was meant to have its challenges, its ups and downs. That's where our development come from. But if we can really look at life from the perspective of this is a new year, this is a new season, I like to look at it like a play. I love going to a good play, right? So a good play can be very good, but when they pull the curtain, it doesn't mean that the play is over with. It just means that is the end of that. If you would, stage one, set one. It's the end of that particular set. And why do they end it and draw the curtain? They do so in order for us to then prepare for them to prepare for the next phase, for the next scene. So you got Act One, Scene One, Act One, Scene Two, Act One, Scene Three. And I'm telling everybody as we come into 2023, act like you got some sense and let's act inside of the scenes that we've been given and let's manifest it one day at a time.
Absolutely. And, that's what it's all about, Dr. J. One day at a time. We're trying to master everything within a day. And remember, whatever we're going through and growing through, we didn't just come into whatever we're trying to get out. It started spooling till it became a ball of confusion, a ball of trouble, a ball of joy, a ball of peace. There was a journey along the way. And that's why we talked last year about resetting for our lives for this year 2023. Everything we think we missed out on, this is the time for us to gather our thoughts, position ourselves, shake ourselves like Samson did in the Bible and said,
Right.
okay, I'm ready to rule, I'm ready to reign and go to the next level, whatever that level is. But one thing we can't do is stay stuck at where we are. One thing we can't do is remain in the past mentally. Sometimes we have to take our physical baggage with us, but our mindset has to be changed. It has to be renewed daily.
And you're exactly right, Dr. Val, because you know what? Even a good book gives us so many things to really get our minds together. One of the things people like quote is Isaiah 43 and 18 to 19, where it says, forgetting the former things. But you know what it says in one version? It said, forget the former things. Watch this. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. I am doing what? A new thing.
Yes.
Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? And so we have to understand that part of starting a new year is not because the calendar hit December 31st and it rolled over to a new year. It is mindset. Because if you don't change your mindset, you might as well be December 35th of 2022. But because the fact that when you change your mind, and that's what it's all about. It's the changing of your mind. One of those other good passages of scripture said in Philippians, I believe it was 3, it said, brethren, I count not myself to have taken hold of, apprehended, but one thing I do, I love it once again, forgetting, let's say it together, forgetting those things that are behind me and pressing on toward those things that are before me. And then it talks about what? Pressing toward the mark of a prize of the high calling. And basically what it's saying that we've got to have a goal. We have to have a goal. We have to have a mindset. We are going somewhere in 2023. Our mindset must shift, because if our mindset doesn't shift, that means that we are not going into the new year. We're holding on to the old year. And there's too many great things ahead of us that we have no need, if you would, to hold on to the past. Thank God that scene has closed. It's now on to Act 3, Scene 1.
And my background is gone.
Well, perfectly all right. Perfectly all right.
I don't know.
All right.
This stupid thing. I mean, I gotta reset.
Well, I think that you'll probably be able to get through it. You'll probably be able to sojourn through it. Inside of it, you're still moving. You're still live. You're still, all those things are happening. It's just kind of behind the scene. These are the things that happen. You know, even with new things, we sometimes have to have trial and error. We have to figure it out and allow it to become ourselves to become acclimated with where we're going. But, you know, Dr. Val, I would say this to everyone. And if I was giving any advice to anyone, here are the things that you're to consider carrying into 2023. Number one, resolve in your mind. Don't be bitter about what you just come through. Don't be bitter. Just get better. Number one. Number two, do the things that you love more often. Stop complaining and living in woulda, shoulda, coulda-ville. No, one day I'll, like that's some type of fantastic vacation. No, that one day I'll begins today. You begin to move toward those things today. The third thing I will say is that they got to let go of people or situations that drain them. Let go of people and situations that drain you. Situation and people that drain you, you got to let that go. You don't want to be just drained. It's like being pulled, life being pulled out of you. That's what a parasite does. Parasite will eat you and eat away at you.
Suck the life out you.
Exactly. Suck the life out of you. And we have to be ready to move on in that mindset in 2023. And then guess what? Sometimes we need to get uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. We have to get uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. Perhaps this is your uncomfortable season, meaning the fact that as you make your decrees, as you set your goals, as you begin to purpose in your heart and your mind that I am going to achieve, as you are looking to be intentional, you are going to get uncomfortable, because anytime there's a change of something new, that means that something old has to die, or something old has to be let go. Something old has to be cut off, because in order for you to possess the new, you got to let go of the old. And so get uncomfortable.
Well, people don't want to let go of the old, Dr. J. That's the thing. They're married to it in their emotions. You know, that's why they can't release themselves for bad relationships, because they're so entangled with it, because they feel that, oh, I've invested this time. But you know, in order for you to get more time, you have to release time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And time is valuable. And see, what we have to understand that folks can look at the whole year, but the real question is, do we value today? See, our effort has to be put into today, because we can't put our efforts into the whole year. We put our efforts in today. Begin to make up your list, make your thing. What is it I want to accomplish today? It is great to be able to check off things I got done, because being able to look at the things that I got done is an encouragement to you that you didn't just stand still, that you made some movement and progress. When you have nothing to measure, when you do not have a barometer to measure your progress, then you become stale, stagnant, and oftentimes apathy and lethargy sets in. Well, you know, I don't care, and then you become lazy. No, this year, make up in your mind, I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to be deliberate. Every day I'm going to make progress. I will not rehearse the old recorder about when I failed. I'm just so tired. Stop saying I'm just so tired. Stop manifesting it out of your mouth. Start saying, listen, I'm up for the task. I can get this done today. If I can push just a little bit further. And if you begin to do that, make it a mindset, make it a habit. Because I always say this: sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a life. And that's what it's really all about. It's sowing. Every day we're sowing. Sow a thought. What am I thought? Where are my thoughts? Where are
Mhm.
my thoughts going? Because whatever I'm doing with my thoughts, it will determine where I'm going. So a thought, what do? I think of it long enough, I'll reap an action. I'll act upon it. But then when I begin to sow the action and I do that action definitively over and over again, it becomes a habit. And then that habit becomes my character. That character becomes my life. And when a person says they cannot be successful, I say to them, it is because they have talked themselves out of being successful, that they have practiced their limitation and they have magnified their inabilities.
Absolutely. You know, I'd like to ask a question of the audience. One of the questions I want to ask is, if you only had one day to live your dreams, what would that be? What would that look like? And if you live your dream for one day, what would you capture or look to capture from that day that you can take into that next day? One day, but what would you take with you? You know, if you like, you know how you go into a grocery store and you say,
Yes,
well, the kids, I tell the kids, you can only have one thing. So what does
absolutely.
that one thing look like that you feel that will help you live the rest of the year?
Yeah.
What would that be?
That's a real good question because, in fact, we need to ponder that. We can complain all day long on what we don't have, but I'm telling you, when we begin to look, what is it that we have at our disposal, at our hand? We have books that we haven't read. We have things
Haven't
that's
read.
inside of us that can inspire us. And what we have to understand in this year here, wherever our attention goes, that's where our energy flows. Wherever our attention goes, that's where our energy will flow. And
That's
so
true.
that means we have to renew our mind in this year. And let's look, I don't care who wants to remind you of what you didn't do. You need to remind them of where you're going and stay focused, stay fervent, stay faithful to the call, and you'll see things manifest in this 2023 year. It may sound selfish, but 2023, it is about me.
It is about me. And you know, one of the ways that we can make it all about us, Dr. J, is getting our credit right.
Oh,
We have
absolutely.
to get ourselves financially stable so that we can be able to do the things that we want to do. We don't need to be functioning and trying to get to the next level and have creditors calling or worried about if our car is going to be taken or we can't
Yes,
make our mortgage payments and stuff. So our mind has to be right because our finances have to be right. You know, you could breathe easy when you could just go to the store and pick up what you want to eat and
exactly.
not have to go and be on a budget. But it begins with us. You know, I used to say that uh, the most brokest people in the world is the Christian community.
Yes, yeah,
They name it, aim it, and claim it. Go
yes,
out there and buy things they can't afford in the name of the Lord. Like and but it's not the Lord telling you to do it. It's you trying to do it to keep up with other people so you can have that image of what you think people want to see or what people think that you are. But be your best you. Don't be a
absolutely.
fake you. Don't be a copycat of somebody else. Be the best version of yourself you want to be. And your version of yourself should be, I want to be free. I want to be whole. I want to be
Absolutely.
stable.
Dr. Val, you said something so important. And you're right. When we change our mindset, we change our life. So a man thinketh, so is he, or so he becomes. And so you're right. So when we go back to things like credit, we have to think about, credit becomes our blueprint, or it becomes our passport inside of this life that we deal with. And so you know, credit may reflect what you just said. Our eyes was long, but our money was short. Our credit may reflect the fact that we got in over our head, but that doesn't have to be a death sentence. It is time to become financially educated, financially aware. Let's come out of these things because it is really a shame that our credit score being our report card determines how we navigate in life. Meaning the fact a low credit score and buying the same car and where you're now paying 21% interest or higher, and versus a person who has a high credit score being able to pay 2% or 3% interest on the same thing. Now, the difference is by the time you pay it off, you have paid off literally double versus the other person who have paid off just a fraction. So, this year, Dr. Val, we want to present opportunities to the audience about how to get that together. We both can definitely lend some helping hands on how do you get that credit together, get it online, not just repaired, not just restored, but get it corrected so that you can build and generate generational wealth. And that's very important in 2023. Don't dare stumble into this year talking about how broke you are and what you don't have. No, there's a name that's called El Shaddai. It means the all-sufficient, of the God that is more than enough. So that means there's no lack there. Now, if there's no lack there, watch this. It is he that gives us the power to get what?
Well.
So he gives us the power, which means that, watch this, he's not against you and I having wealth. He's not against us having money and being well off. He just don't want us to become, if you would, enslaved to the mindset that it controls us rather than us controlling it. And I'm telling you, it starts with the mindset. I believe even our audience tonight, if they begin to put in their mind that, listen, this is the year I'm going to do it. No more procrastination. No more rehearsing my past. I will become disciplined. I will become intentional. I will become deliberate. And I will pursue that which is ahead of me. And I believe that'll make a difference tonight.
Absolutely. It's about strategic alliances and relationships. I go to the Faith Center, and that's one of our goals for this year. This is our theme. We have to have strategic relationships because, we can't do this journey by ourselves.
Absolutely.
We can't do this by ourselves. We like looking for handouts, but not looking for handouts. How they call it, dry begging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, dry begging.
There's this thing called dry begging.
Oh, boy. It's the worst, right?
So let's form strategic relationships where Dr. J, when you come up, I come up. When I come up, I bring somebody else. So it's about pulling someone behind us to walk next to us, and then they pulling someone from behind them and walking next to us. Strategic alliances and relationship is what's going to keep us together and keep us whole, and also ultimately create a financial base where everyone can thrive.
Absolutely. And I want to invite our audience. You've put up there already our websites and things, but our email address. But put your information there in the chat. Let us know if you're interested in becoming financially solvent. If you're interested in, if you would, coming out of the bondage and coming out of debt and coming out of this what I call financial paralysis this year, I want you to reach out to us because I'm telling you, this year, 2023. This is the year for you to come up. You're coming up out of Lola bar. You're coming up out of your situation. Yeah. You're coming up out of poor mindset. You even coming up out of toxic relationship. You're coming up because guess what? It is that time for your life. It is time in your life that you now are elevated. You're promoted. Watch this. The right attitude. Not promoted just to say that you're promoted, but being promoted to be the evidence of the fact that I trust, I believe, I got those strategic alignments and assignments and relationship, and therefore I am now seeing myself move because I believe what you said, Dr. Val. When we learn to not only when we come up, but we help others come up. That's the mindset.
We have to. This is why we do the show every week. Every week we do this show. We're hoping that someone is inspired to embrace a larger vision on themselves. This is why we do it. We're not getting paid to do this.
Absolutely.
And, we put up our websites and our emails and stuff like that. But, people just want information, and they've been getting information from us. And hopefully you've been motivated to, do better than what you're doing right now. But there comes a time where you have to invest in yourself. You go to the mall, you go to the store, you may go to the movies, you may go to a party, you go and spend money everywhere else. But then when it comes to investing in yourself so that you can get to another level to get financial stability, we won't do it. We want, we beg for what we want, and we pay for what we want, but beg for what we need. When we need something, you want someone to give it to you for free. But when you want something, you'll go ahead and pay for it.
Yeah. And we have to change that mindset. We have to change the mindset. I believe this once again that we have to understand until we're renewed in our mind. And don't be afraid to be renewed in your mind. The truth of the matter is that every day we ought to be looking to be renewed in our mindset. Make up in your mind this year that I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to learn a new trade. I'm going to learn some resources. Before I start doubting everything, listen, let me put my faith out there. Let me launch out in the deep. You can't be a water walker when you're still standing on the shore.
Ooh, I like that one.
You can't be a water walker standing on the shore. You got to be willing to walk out. And I'm telling you, Dr. Val, it's amazing to me how nature will speak to us. Nature. And you think about it, nature will speak to us. This New Year's Day, we went out sunrise service, and we actually went out a little too early. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was dark. I mean, literally, getting to the beach, it was dark. Everybody had their lights on. And my 3.5-year-old grandson said, Papa, why are we walking in the dark? And it was interesting because you could hear his spirit. And the closer we walked, he said, well, Papa, he said, we can't see anything. Are you kidding me? I said, we're going to keep walking. And then he finally said, animals could be
out of the mouth of babes.
So he was that way. And so I've said, let me pick you up. And the closer we got to the water, you still could barely see it. But it brought something to mind. Just because we couldn't see the water doesn't mean that the water wasn't there.
Wow.
And sometimes just because we can't see the blessing or see the promotion or see the elevation doesn't mean that it's not there. But we have to keep doing what we did, keep walking toward it. And it's interesting. Peter and the disciples encountered Jesus walking on the water. Watch this. Imagine it was that time of morning like we were, dark. Could barely see. So I can understand Peter now. I've had a Peter experience. So Peter is like, hold up, we see this figment on the water. This, is it? And so Peter said, is it? If it's you, bid us to come. And then Jesus bid him to come. And so it is with our purpose and our destiny. We have to understand that destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. Yeah. Will we choose the right path? Will we choose the right direction? And we've got to be sensitive enough to know when we are being bidded to come. When you hear a word that is resonating with you, when you know within yourself that what you are hearing even now is a charge to you and it's calling you up, this is when you step out on faith. Look, you might not can see it, but you got to keep walking toward it. Because that's what faith is stepping out on nothing, but landing on something. And that's what it's all about. 2023, it's about me. It's about me elevating. It's about me making a difference. It's about me bringing people up with me. It's about me getting into that place where I'm walking in alignment with my assignment. And it begins with not name dropping, but listen, it's about your mindset. Because I'm going to tell you something. Name dropping is fine. And folks love name dropping until their name drops. We love name dropping until that person name drop. What about perfecting yourself?
Yes.
What about adding to yourself? What about being able to come out of this situation that you're in your mind? And I really want to speak to a lot of people because guess what's common? Everybody's celebrating a new birthday this year. So I want to admonish everyone. Don't let your age be your cage.
I like that.
Fearful. Don't become fearful. This is the time that you're going to be motivated, that you're going to move forward. I know it. Listen here. Rebuke the cow. Loose me, cow, to let me go. Rebuke the thing that has got you bound and let you go. I promise you, you don't have to be able. Listen, you cannot change your destiny overnight, but you definitely can change your direction overnight. This is what
you absolutely can, Dr. J. And then people think because they're a certain age that life is over and they just get all settled in and say, woe is me. I guess I'll never find that mate. I guess I'll never buy that car. And I'll never buy that house that I want. But never say never. Our wealth is based on our ability to think. So what are you thinking?
Exactly.
If you're thinking it won't, then it won't. But if you're thinking and putting action behind it, then the manifestation will come. Every day I say, God, I'm looking for the manifestation of the promise. And the
Absolutely.
promises are yea and amen. Anything I set my hand to do, it will be blessed. So I'm always looking for the manifestation of the promises that God said I should have. And when we're walking in negativity, because we're so overwhelmed with life cares that we put ourselves in trying to look like we're all that, then yes, you will succumb and be overwhelmed and can't see your way out. But there's always a way of escape. Dr. J said, if you're interested in finding out how you can get financial freedom, put your, how did they say? DM me, put it
Yeah,
in the,
DM me. Yeah.
yeah, DM me, something like that. I don't know. I'm old school, but I know you don't want your email and your name in the box, but send us a private message, and then
Absolutely.
we'll show you how that you can get financial stability. It is, it's, you got to start somewhere. This is the
Absolutely.
beginning.
Exactly.
This is absolutely the
The
beginning.
beginning.
We close
Exactly.
the first December 31st is the only time that we can actually virtually close the door on 1 year and step into another, open the door to the next. That's the only time you could do it.
Only time. And we get a chance
We
to do
always
it.
say we're going to do a diet, we're going to do
Right.
this, we're going to do that. Open the door to new possibilities. Open the
Absolutely.
door to hope. Open the
Yes.
door to faith, because faith is what's going to move those mountains out of your life.
Absolutely. It's ability to go where you haven't gone. And it's interesting that faith doesn't come on aisle 9 inside of Walmart. Faith doesn't come through Amazon or FedEx. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So let me go further. When we say hearing by the word of God, we're not necessarily talking about Genesis to Revelation, but hearing by what God has inspired, who God has inspired, those very tangible people and tangible resources that God puts right there in your path. Why? Because it is He that gives us the power to get well. What do you mean? That means that even in this day and time, you might be stuck. You might think poverty is your portion, but I need you to understand that being broke is temporary. Poverty is a state of mind. 2023, we're breaking poverty off of our mind. We're breaking poverty off of our mindset. We're breaking generational poverty. We're breaking generational things that have become perpetuated throughout our lives. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've seen. Maybe everybody in your family has been poor, or they've been struggling their entire life. You make up in your mind, no, this is the year. This is a year that is filled with new mercy, new opportunities,
Mhm,
new doors. It is happening. One thing that is required: walk through it, show up,
mhm.
be intentional, be deliberate, be consistent. And most of all, I'm going to say to you, let's pray. Let's move forward. Pray for discipline, because discipline is so important. You know, you and I remember the great motivational speaker Jim Rohn. He would often say this. He said, in life we will all encounter one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference
Yes.
is that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons.
Ooh,
Listen,
yes.
let's begin this new year.
That was well said.
Let's be disciplined so that we won't have to be carrying the tons of regret later on in the year. Let's start now. Let's be intentional. Let's be consistent. Let's be deliberate, and let's go up together. It's the beginning.
Absolutely. So we're ending the show so that we can move on to greater and better things. We got to be working on our dreams, Dr. J. And,
Absolutely.
individuals want to connect with us, they can DM us, is how you say it.
They can DM us. Definitely, you can put your email address back up there, or the email address. They can go either one of those ways that they can reach
Right.
us. And
Soultopics@gmail.com. Soultopics@gmail.com is my email. And Dr. J, your email is?
manofpurpose2000 at gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. You'll find me there, J.R. Thicklin, Dr. J.R. Thicklin, both pages. But reach out to me. You can get there by airplane. You can get there by caravan. You can get there by trailway. But whatever you do, get there if you can. 2023 is up to me. Let's walk in our destiny.
Absolutely. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hot Topics from the Soul. Go subscribe to Hot Topics from the Soul. Thank you for joining us. We're here because you're here. Good night and God bless.